All right, so here we go. Next problem up. We are solving for x, and I immediately notice that we have parentheses on the left side. We have x's on both sides. We got a lot of things going on, right? And one of the things that I always try to look out for, if it's convenient, is instead of distributing into the parentheses, I want to sometimes see, can I just divide both sides by that number, which is the 9? Everybody, is it possible to divide both sides by 9? Are both sides divisible? In this case, it's going to be a no, because if you divide by 9, 8 is not divisible by 9, and neither is 38. So that's going to be a little bit of a tough situation. So instead of doing that, everybody, we're just going to begin by distributing. And remember, when you distribute, the 9 must distribute to all terms within the parentheses. So first, it's going to be 9 times x, which will be 9x. Then we have 9 times 4, and that will be 36. Then the right side is 8x plus 38. Now that we're here, everybody, do we have the x's on the same side yet? Because the first step was just getting rid of that parentheses, but we really want to get the x by itself, and we have to get the x's on the same side to do that. So we don't see that yet. We have got to move these variables together. We can move the 9x to the right, or we can move the 8x to the left. Either way works. The way that I'm going to propose is the way that deals with positive numbers. Here, what I'll do, pay attention, I'll subtract. I'm going to move the entire term here. I'm going to move the entire 8x by subtracting the entirety of 8x on both sides, and look at what happens. We're going to cancel on the left, and that's going to give us 9 minus 8, which is 1. You can write 1x or just x. That's going to be x plus 36 equals 38. Again, you can write 1x or just leave it as x. Either way is fine. But everybody, now that we're here, look at how much easier this got, right? We just have one more step, and that one step is going to be subtracting 36 on both sides, nice and easy. And that leaves us with x equals 2. Booyah. And that's what leaves our correct answer here as answer choice A. And let's go ahead and get to work here. Let's solve for x. So we see here that we have a variable on the left, but everybody, do we see the variable appear in more than one place? Is that what we see here? Is that what could be potentially confusing about this question here? Yeah, very confusing, slightly confusing. I understand. So here's how we want to think about it, everybody. First things first is this. Is it true or false? Is it true or false that at the end of the day, your solution is going to be, x equals some number, whether it's on the left side or the right side, doesn't matter. But at the final stage, at the end of it all, x is by itself, not on both sides, but by itself, right? Good. Having that understanding tells me that I know what I need to do. I need to look at this and I need to say, hey, how can I get all of my variables on one side and all those numbers here on the other? That's what I want to do, because at the end of the day, x is going to be by itself. So here's how we're going to take care of this. I noticed that I have 12x on the left and 4x on the right. I can draw a little imaginary line here. Now, I want to ask you this. When we are getting rid of a term from one side, we do the opposite operation. Now, the 4x is the first thing that we see on the right side. So what operation am I currently looking at? If I look at this 4x, what operation is in front of the 4? Even though we don't see it, that's a positive 4x. Yeah. Even though we don't see it, this is a plus 4x. Now, I'm going to explain something that's going to seem slightly confusing to those of us who have only been practicing one variable operations. Because if you look at this, everyone, I'm going to say that we want to move the 4x to the left. And the way that that's going to happen is by subtracting 4x on both sides. The reason I am not subtracting just the 4 or dividing by the 4 is because of this. I am not doing opposite operations, or I'm not working backwards yet. What I'm doing first is I'm getting the variables together. So I'm not trying to get rid of the 4, everybody. I'm not trying to get rid of the 4. I am trying to get rid of the entire 4x. And so if I want to get rid of the entirety of this positive 4x that's just sitting there, I am going to subtract 4x on both sides. Because what's going to happen is a cancellation. That's exactly what I was looking for. And on the left side, everybody, riddle me this. If I have 12 of these x's and I take away 4 of those x's, how many x's do I have left? Right, we'll have 8 of those x's remaining. So if I do that, we have 8x. Don't forget, we still have that minus 20. And then we still have the 52 on the right side. But let me just make it very clear. I subtracted 4x from both sides to move this term from the right to the left. Now, if we take a look at 8x minus 20 equals 52, oh, this is a lot more friendly than we were thinking of, right? This is much friendlier than what we had before. So now we can solve this. Now we're good to go. First thing I'll do is I'll get rid of that minus 20 by adding 20 on both sides. Because once I do that, it'll cancel out on the left, leaving me with 8x equals 72. And now from here, my friends, the last step that we'll take is getting rid of that 8 on both sides. And so that'll end up looking like division of 8, which is canceling on the left and giving us 72 divided by 8. And that's 9. And there we go. X equals 9, and that's the correct answer here. Answer choice C. All right, next question up. Solving an equation here, and we're solving for x. So with that said, everybody, first thing we are going to do is we're going to map things out, because the goal is to get that variable, the x, by itself. But we have to ask ourselves, what operation are we currently observing happening to the x, everybody? What operation are we currently looking at happening to the x right now? Yeah, if you look at the 7, what the 7 is currently doing is division. It is currently dividing the x by 7. So the follow-up question, everybody, remember the first question is, what am I observing? What do I see? And then the second question is, how do I work backwards? What is the opposite? Answer the question for me, everybody. What am I going to do? And be specific, say to both sides. What am I going to do here? What is the opposite of dividing by 7? Yeah, we're going to multiply both sides by 7. Exactly. There we go, because here's what happens now. If we multiply by 7 on both sides, remember that C word that happens when we have the opposite operations with the same number? Cancellation. It's going to happen here. We see that we are dividing by 7, multiplying by 7. That's going to cancel out. So goodbye right there. Leaves you with x by itself. And now we just have to do 13 times 7, and we're all good. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry that 2. 1 times 7 is 7. Carry the 2 is 9. And there we are. 13 times 7 is 91. That's our correct answer. And we can check our work by plugging in that 91 right there, dividing by 7, and we will indeed get 13.